Hi there, and welcome to Masterpieces in Miniature. In this video I'm just introducing my SPEEDY, which we keep seeing at the opening shots of Masterpieces in Miniature. This is the SPEEDY at the moment, looking a little sorry for herself. She's got her water tanks off and various other bits and pieces off at the moment. But that's all with respect to manufacturing and fitting these new pieces which we can see here. All these will be shown in separate kind of slideshow videos. We'll be looking at these, their manufacture and how I fit them to the locomotive, and we'll just have a look in a moment more clearly, a bit close up. But I'm just introducing the fact that I'm going to be doing those videos. These are the water tanks here which I've made for this water tank arrangement. The filler caps were here originally as per the drawing by LBSC, but these are a more scale-like type of fitting, further inboard, etc. So I'm including them in this scope of work that I'm currently doing on the locomotive. These tanks were just plain tanks, and I'm going to do slideshow videos, as I said, with regard to these pieces here and the detailing on the tank, of which there was none originally. And hopefully, like I mentioned later on in the video, we will hopefully line this tank out as the real one once was. This is number 1507, as you can see on the side of the cab there. I do have a photograph of 1507 actually pulling some coaches, which is quite a nice photograph to have from back in the day when it was actually working as a proper locomotive rather than a preserved locomotive. It's just a little black and white photo, but there you go, it's nice to have. So yes, there we are. That's where we're up to. So in a moment we'll just have a little bit of a closer look, and I'll point out where these bits are actually going to go to, and then we'll upload some videos with respect to doing these pieces, how I went about manufacturing them, and perhaps what I've actually made them of. So let's have a little closer look at these bits that we've been just looking at. So here we have the lovely brake hanger arrangement with a little hanging bracket that goes onto the loco, and then you've got the hanger, and then you've got the shoe. So the shoes, the hangers. The shoes I've made myself, these brackets, etc. Lovely castings done by the Doug Hewson company, and they're currently now owned by Steam Workshop. So if you wanted to purchase some of these cast brackets, which are lovely scale affairs, then that's a place to contact the Steam Workshop. They'll also be able to supply you with those. This is one of the rear tool chests which I've made. Fits on some brackets to the locomotive side frame. We'll have a look in a minute just where these do actually fit on the loco, but I'm just showing you roughly what they are. One of those would go on one side of the locomotive, and in a similar position but on the other side of the locomotive is this other little chest, little toolbox. This also is held on some kind of bracketing onto the frame, so to do that I've just made this small block, and that's why there's this small block on the back of what would have been a chest. This is my thoughts of the rear sanding box that goes on these locomotives, and that goes on in that kind of setup, in that this bit here that I'm looking at attaches to the framework of the locomotive, and that sits on the outside of the frame. This is the imitation business of actually operating it to get the sand to come out. So I'll be looking at all these in individual video slideshow clips, as I said. This is my thoughts on the front sanding box, and that goes inside the frames, just down here. So basically all you get to see from the side is the little bit at the top there, and perhaps some of this arrangement as this imitation rod disappears back down the length of the locomotive somewhere for the driver to operate, or the fireman. And again, this is the water tank. So we'll be looking at the steps, manufacturing them and fitting them, manufacturing these handrails and fitting these, manufacturing and fitting this little arc that goes around the front of there, manufacturing and fitting these lifting eyes, one there and one, I don't know whether you can see that, is that off camera? So we've got the steps, haven't we? We've got the handrails, we've got the lifting eye, we've got this other lifting eye here, we've got the brackets that go for the support beams over the boiler, we've got the air vent, and we've got this lovely arrangement here, which a good friend of mine down at our railway club, he'd actually made some of these up, and his tank was actually off his loco at the time, so he loaned me his tank, thanks for that, so that I could model mine from his, because these are the most kind of realistic ones that I've come across and seen yet, so thanks for that. And then of course these covering strips here, we've put these covering strips on, and this rain strip as I call it here. So we'll be looking at all of that in individual slideshow type things, which I'm currently on with, so yes, they'll be coming up in future videos, so watch this space for them. Right, so let's just have a quick look at the locomotive then and see where these bits actually fit with respect to the loco that we're looking at, if we look at it from a side view. And also there's some bits on top of the firebox which I haven't discussed just here, but they are on there, and we'll have a look at them as well, bits and pieces that I'm going to do at that end. So yeah, let's have a look at that now then. So let's have a closer look at the locomotive and where these bits are going to go. Starting at the back here, we will either have the tool chest or the little store locker, one on one side, one on the other. Moving forward to the rear side of the wheel, we'll then have an externally mounted sand box with a pipe going down. Moving forward from that, we'll have a brake hanger going on here with its block, etc. Moving forward onto the front of the middle wheel, again we'll have a brake block and its hanger, etc. Moving forward from that, we'll have a front hanger and brake block, etc. But on the front there isn't sufficient space between the rim of the wheel and the cylinder to get the block and the hanger in, so we'll have to take some off of the width of the hanger to get that in. But being as it's semi-concealed behind all the cylinder and motion here, it won't be such a great loss really, but it's something that we'll have to do. Then I'm going to put some new external cladding on these cylinders here. These buffers here will be reduced in size because they're too long, so I'll reduce them down to a more scale size in length. The tanks are obviously missing at the moment, so on the tank tops we're going to have a rain strip that goes here. We're going to have some lifting eyes which go on either end of the tank, so the tank can be lifted up in real life, as it were. We're going to have some tank filler vents put on here. We're also going to have moving the position and remodeling the tank fillers where the water goes in. We're going to have some bridges going across the top of the firebox here, such that they support and hold the tanks in place, the two water tanks. So that's a bridging bracket at the back and a bridging bracket further forward at the front as well. Then over the top of this safety valve, I'm remodeling the existing safety valve bonnet because it didn't have big enough flanges on it that came over here, etc. Although it was a casting, it didn't have the correct shape, etc. So that's also getting done. The whole thing will have to be repainted when all this detailing, etc. is done. I'm hopefully going to put a couple of dummy washout plugs up here. These are the guards that go on there, covering washout areas again on the smoke box. I've put some plastic pipes in here at the moment. These are going to be feeds from the whistle valve inside here. When the whistle blows, which will be mounted below somewhere externally, the whistle valve will blow, and also the hope is that I'm going to get an emittance of steam into some dummy whistles here, scale whistles on a block. So that's what all this rigmarole is here. This piece here is for the hand pump that will remain inside the tank under a covered lid, but it will be a lot neater than it once was. I could move the pump further back and underneath, but on this occasion I've decided to just leave it in the tank where it is. These will get sorted out at some point because these want remodeling, but the thing about the detailing is these sand blocks, etc., are going to be made from solid lumps rather than fabricated as in an empty box, simply to add weight to the loco. The more weight you have in the loco, the better adhesion you've got from the wheels to the track, so you can set off better or pull a greater load without any slippage. So these videos will be coming online at some point later on in the program. Much later on, I'm going to remodel the back of this because it's got just right angled returns and they should be rounded, so this will be cut off and remodeled as per what it should be. More riveting will go on, etc. I've got a new roof to go on here with air vents in, etc., and handrails, along with the handrails that are going to be fitted to these water tanks along the top and up the front. So all in all, it's going to be quite a project, but I'm on with it. Hopefully I'm going to end up lining the tanks as well. I'll line the tanks as they were painted up at one time, rather than just leaving them clear black. And my grandson Jaden, he can't wait to get it back on the rail, so I better get cracked on with it, I suppose. That's the plans anyway, so let's see how we go on. Hope for the best and get it back on the rails soon. Okay, let's get cracked on. Bye for now.